I was invited to be part of the Synergy project. I was lucky enough to partner with scientist Chrissy Hernandez, who is studying larval tuna and whether they are breeding off the coast of New England. And she was on an expedition where she found samples of the larval tuna that sort of reinforced their theory that they were spawning there. So I was trying to find some way visually that I could work my way into what she was studying, because she had pretty much wrapped up her research in the field and she was more analyzing it on the computer. So I started thinking about plankton, which larval tuna are in their plankton stage, which means that they can't swim against the current, they just drift along with the current. So there are so many different kinds of plankton that are in that environment that I started branching out to study them. And I wanted to actually see some in person, not just pictures that I found on the web, which I actually found quite a few. But I bought a microscope and went down to the water near where I live and collected samples, and I was amazed to find that there were a lot of plankton in my samples. So that was really fascinating, and I started trying to take some pictures through my microscope, and I also found added to it with pictures I found on the web, including these wonderful renderings of zooplankton from Richard Kirby. He's an English oceanographer, and he was nice enough to let me use them for reference, which is going to help me come up with a composition that shows the abundance of life that we have no idea is there, because it's mostly microscopic and we can't see it. So I decided to try and do a big project, and what I decided to do was do 3 panels using hollow frame doors and trying to describe what's unseen in the ocean but what is vital to life on the planet, pretty much. And the more I learned about the plankton's role in life, and the more I collaborated with Chrissy, she would answer any of my questions about plankton and what their role was and how they transform, they soak up a lot of the carbon in the atmosphere and release it back as oxygen, and that creates at least 50% of the oxygen on the planet. So that's pretty important too. So I decided to do 3 panels here. On the left panel is going to be, I'm really interested also in the twilight zone of the ocean and the seamounts off the coast of New England, which actually were in danger of being not as protected as they were as far as being susceptible to deep sea fishing and trawling, like scraping off the bottom of the ocean to catch fish, and in the process destroying the environment of the ocean. So we don't know a huge percentage of what's down there, and it's in danger of being eliminated before we even find out what's down there. So in the twilight zone, there are incredibly interesting animals down there, which I want to get into a bit, and the seamounts. They're really important too. Well, we don't even know why they're important. That's what we have to find out. And if we destroy them before we find that out, we might miss a huge opportunity to find out something that could really help us in the long run, even fight some viruses that we might be facing. So I wanted to do the seamounts and the twilight zone creatures, the moon, which reflects the tides, and also the constellations that were visible when Chrissy went out in the field, to sort of tie that into her research. The middle panel is going to be similar to this study that I'm doing in egg tempera, with just like masses of zooplankton here, and also in the middle will be the phytoplankton, which are the ones that do the photosynthesis. And then I'm going to put a big lens in the middle to indicate like the exploration of this environment and focusing on a larval tuna. And then above it, I'm going to put some atoms of carbon and oxygen in the exchange in the sunlight. So that's the idea for that one. This one, which I've gridded out to expand, this one's the least developed, but I'm sort of working on. This is the Gulf Stream, which affects the climate, of course, off New England of the ocean. And this is the coast, and this is where she did her research. Circles indicate where she found the larval tuna, and the arrows are where they predicted that they came from and moved to. So I'm going to put lenses, mount lenses somehow, in the circles where she found the larval tuna. And this red indicates the heat of the Gulf Stream, but there are also warm core rings that form, and they form warm core tunnels down deeper, which some of the predators like tuna and sharks use to get down below and find more food. So all of that sort of being worked out in my head right now. So that's a basic premise of what I'm hoping to do on a larger scale. I got my panels prepared. These are just hollow frame doors with canvas applied to them. I really started seeing how the project was going to work out, and I just love the expansion of the idea, and it just got me excited about doing the project, and I really can't wait to start, but I want to make sure I have my studies down and things where they should be, especially when I start placing the lenses, because that's going to be sort of a permanent thing that won't be able to change. So these are all the spots that Chrissy Hernandez has found larval tuna in an area called the Slope Sea, which is just where the shelf meets the deeper ocean, the continental shelf here. So, and this will be the Gulf Stream. And this is the layers of temperature of the water. And so the warm water from the Gulf Stream sometimes tunnels down into this area. So that's what I'm still working out to figure out. This circle here will hopefully be a big lens that will focus on the larval tuna. And up in the moon, up in the upper right-hand corner, I'm planning to put a little Fresnel lens on to sort of evoke light of the moon, but also has a tie into lighthouses too. So that is the plan. We'll see how it works out. One of the big problems I've been mulling over for a long time is I want these lenses to hover over my work. So how am I going to attach them to the panel? So I've been trying to come up with a lot of different solutions, buying a lot of findings and things, thinking how I can stand these up. And I think what I might do, I was looking next to my painting area, I have some fishing lures hanging up that I just collected, and it occurred to me that maybe fish hooks might be appropriate. So I did this a little experiment here, really roughly, with a bead and some fish hooks, and this just might work if I hover them over the canvas with fish hooks, which also tie into the idea of the tuna harvest and what it means to the fishermen who are very invested in the bluefin tuna. So I'm just coming up with all these different ideas. I'll have to do some smaller ones for the smaller lenses, and hopefully it will work out. And this is a Fresnel lens that I'm hoping to use for the moon.